Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here, and in today's video I am sitting in my reading chair because I don't have the energy to sit on the floor. I normally film sitting on my floor and I just don't have it in me. It's been a long day. But I just finished this book and I really want to get my review and all my thoughts and feelings out about it while it's still really fresh. And the book we're going to be reviewing and discussing today is The Misadventures of an Amateur Naturalist by Kynwyn Langley, an independent Australian writer. And I really enjoyed this book quite a bit. So of course I'm going to give you a bit of a plot summary, why I picked this book up seemingly on a whim, some world building, characters, writing. We'll get into all of that good stuff. The one-liner for this book is, this is a sapphic young adult retelling of Beauty and the Beast that reads like a historical fiction. That's what sold me. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling that, in my opinion, improves quite a few things from the Disney version especially. And it kind of cleans up some plot holes and improves some character dynamics a little bit, in my opinion. This is about our main character, Celeste Rosanne, and she lives in a town in the French countryside. It is a pretty big town. It has kind of like a court system kind of happening. There's wealthy people, and she and her family are very well off. When one day her father kind of loses it all and they become kind of destitute. And so in a final bid for, trying to save her family, Celeste begrudgingly agrees to marry her childhood best friend, Etienne. But Etienne's family is horrible, even though Etienne is kind of a nice guy. Etienne is roughly the Gaston character. However, Etienne is much nicer throughout the entire book than Gaston from the Disney version. So Celeste is really troubled by her impending nuptials, and she eventually decides she's going to fake her death and run away in the middle of a blizzard. And so obviously the weather gets the best of her and she stumbles across an abandoned, decrepit estate. Will the occupant of the estate help her or harm her? And obviously this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. The thing I appreciate most about this particular retelling is that it gives our main character a lot more agency and consent, essentially, with the whole setup. So she originally she agrees to the marriage, eventually runs away to kind of seek her fortune. She wants to become a scientist. And she goes to the chateau, the estate where the Beast lives, and she decides to stay with the Beast. And she asks the Beast for permission to stay and study her for scientific purposes. And the Beast consents to be sketched and, asked questions to, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot more consent happening in this story. I like how the Beast is really nice and helpful. She's a little standoffish, but she's not mean in any way. I kind of mentioned this in the summary, but Etienne is way nicer than the Gaston character, and he does have his faults, and in the penultimate scene there is some things that he's not great about, but he is basically like Celeste's brother. They were raised together, they're childhood best friends, and when Etienne asks Celeste to marry him, it is genuine, and he actually is in love with her and thinks that she's reciprocating his love instead of lusting after her and wanting her because no one else can have her, and she's so beautiful or stuff like that. The final confrontation between Etienne and Celeste is a lot more heartfelt, and he eventually does understand why she doesn't want to marry him. It hurts him and it breaks his heart, but he actually does you know, realize that it is truly what she wants. One of the things that I was a little bit maybe disappointed about is that we lose a little bit of the whimsy here in comparison to the Disney version, because we don't have characters like Lumiere and Cogsworth. The Beast is the only character and the only other person in the estate with Celeste, so it is literally just the two of them having conversations and building that relationship. So we kind of lose a little bit of the found family, like, side characters that we grow to love in the Disney version. Although we do get a lot of side characters and really fleshed out town. Celeste has a lot of friends. She has history with people that feels very real. And she's got a family. She's got a father and a sister, and, you know, a really fleshed out full life experience when she's still in town. Next, I'm going to be talking about the writing, and I really liked the writing in this book. It's very atmospheric and it reads like a historical fiction book that's very well researched. I found myself really drawn in by, I felt like I could see the town, I could smell the smells, I could taste the baked goods. It really felt, I was immersed really deeply into this world. So I was really pleasantly surprised by the depth of the world building and the creating of the French town life and everything that went on in it. I'm just gonna be talking about a few minor criticisms. So in Beauty and the Beast, there is a magical component, but Celeste is a scientist. She wants to be a scientist, so she kind of approaches the situation from a scientific perspective and is trying to figure out a natural, explainable view of the curse. And once we do get an explanation for the curse, it's very vague and unspecific. I prefer things that are a little bit more spelled out for me, and it was very wishy-washy in that way. Another criticism I have is I would have loved more time between Celeste and the Beast. She doesn't meet the Beast until 50% into the book, so we spend a lot of time establishing that world building and her previous life before she runs away, and then she finally meets the Beast, and so we only have a short chunk of time to establish that sapphic relationship. There is also a fairly large section of reading diary entries. So again, it's also taking away from the limited page time that these two characters have with each other. And like I said before, we miss a little bit of the whimsy with the fun side characters that have also been cursed. We have a puppy joining us for my final thoughts and feelings about this book, but even with those minor criticisms, I still really enjoyed my time reading this book. I read it fairly quickly and ended up giving this book 4 stars. I had a lot of fun reading this, and I would love for all of you to pick this one up as well. Give it a try, support an independent small author, and I'm really glad I read this one. I was really impressed by not only the changes from the Disney version, but I also appreciated the homages to the original tale. So I thought it was a good blend of remake and redo, if that makes sense. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!